the city, baby. And us in Texaco's. You wanna try, baby? I know you can, I know your heart, and you will figure out you love me now, 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 you know I gotta leave. You love me now, 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 you know I gotta leave.
Hey everyone, another great day in the metaverse world. Today we are just going to have a simple conversation, and I think it'll be intriguing. I think it'll make you think a little bit. And it's all about the observable universe, okay? Not gonna go so far into science and not gonna go so far into religion or anything like that, but the observable universe. So what we see, what we think it is, through our five senses that we have. A lot of people don't agree, but there's another sense, which is your consciousness. It's hard to verify it. It's hard to put an instrument to calculate it out or whatever. But consciousness is, in my belief, is another sense that we need to learn how to use. So here we are. We're in the metaverse world. We're in a digital space that is representing us. We are basically being the puppets moving our avatars inside the space, but think how that applies to the real world as well. Are we puppeting our real life, organic, biological bodies? Are we the ones moving it? Are we the ones deciding, all the way down to the smallest little point in our fabric of our, molecules, to the DNA, to the particles in the atoms? Are we actually being the ones puppeting all that? Or is it information that is somewhere else that we are perceiving? Okay, now I may go a little bit into science. But I've been in science on this the whole time, but I'm just trying to make it understandable, I guess, right? So here we are. We're in a digital space. This avatar that I am navigating around is a representation of me, how I will be perceived in this digital world. So that's pretty big, to a lot of people, and for them to comprehend that this is the next iteration of the internet, or part of it, right? A lot of people won't even get to this point. A lot of people won't even have, a lot of people that haven't even logged in and signed in with a computer online yet. So they are so far, not that they got to learn more. It's just you are definitely, if you're watching this video, you are definitely ahead of them. But imagine the whole world being able to be connected in a space that's ever so, forgiving or whatever, that, this space is not going to do harm to you. It's not going to hurt you. The only thing it can do is progress what you do, because you're using this state of digital presence to learn new things that could be applied into the real world, right? So today's just it's more of a, I wouldn't say a thought process, but it's more of like an observation of how you perceive things. Could humanity utilize this type of technology to better itself? Could this be the way that we actually learn how to be, interplanetary? Which we are. I'm not saying we're there quite yet, but we are just about there, because we are sending robotics out to other planets to investigate, right? And you gotta think, everything that they're gathering, all the information is all digital being sent back. And something, I'm not sure, I'd have to research it, but I believe we do send back samples from Mars, right? To know what it's actually made up of, and, you know, is it so far from the Earth? At one point in time, was Mars inhabited? Was it maybe Earth 1? Or, you know, was it just always the way it was? You know, how do we know? The only way we're going to know is to go there and investigate. So here we are, we're investigating this, which today I told you I wasn't going to get too into the science. I'm just going to let the science happen as we're conversating, and I'll try to put them in. I'm not going to use a lot of technical words. I'll just use words that make sense to me and maybe make sense to you. But you know, how far do you think this technology is going to go, and how far do you think it has gone already? I mean, have we already been through multiple simulations? Are we even in a simulation? You know, there's a lot of people that think we are, you know, and there's a lot of data that shows that it's possible that it could be that we are in a simulation. For me, I have a different belief. I believe, you know, and not to go so far down the road, is like this was all created and the creator's outside its creation. So we'll never really know the intent of the past, the present, and the future of the way our universe will be, right? But what I can say is that we are learning every day. We're learning new things every day, and through that, we're able to, accomplish things. We're able to move farther. We're able to get farther in our humanity of where we're at, right? So at some point in time, is an asteroid going to hit the Earth? I would say at some point in time it will. When? I don't have any system or anything to calculate everything. I don't have that kind of data to figure out when Earth could be grazed or be hit by an asteroid. But just by the fact that our findings on Earth shows that there was cataclysmic events that did happen in our soil. So if you dig down, you can see, the surface of the soil and what has happened, and through those sediments you can, carbon date, what happened there. Is that fact or is that fiction? Do you believe? Do you not believe? So again, everything that I'm saying here is my personal truth, what I think, what I may agree on, what I may disagree on. But the thing is it's something that I'm thinking of. Therefore, if I can think it, I can see it, maybe touch it, taste it, whatever, then I'm going to fully be aware that it is possible. But that's the thing, even though, like behind me, right over there, you see the fish right there. Those are just programmed fish, right? Those are not real fish. Those are programmed fish that are basically swimming in the water. You can look over my shoulder here. That I put there to just be more of as a distraction. Like, oh wow, there's actually fish here even, right? But I definitely wanted you to think that you're in a place, in a vast ocean, in a place where there's a building, in a place where there's actually flying vehicles, in a place that you have my avatar speaking. Okay, so now we're getting, is this actually a conscious place? Is this real? Is where I am at the real world? Okay, now of course I'm sitting in a chair right now in the real 3D world, with a VR headset on, looking at my avatar, talking to you through this, making a video to see if this is actually any of importance to you yourself, to see if this is something that you think could be a future, maybe it's a now, maybe it has been in the past, But is this type of technology something that could actually advance humanity? I didn't make that gesture. My avatar made that gesture of it shutting its eyes. I stopped talking, therefore it's just like, okay, well, let me shut my eyes. That's programmed into this technology to do that. So it literally has, it's not that it's puppeting me. It's like I'm the puppet, but there's other features in the puppet that are there that I wasn't aware of until I just noticed it right now. See how subtle it even moved my head to the side? So this technology that has been designed, they've actually looked at how people speak, how they stand, how they conduct themselves. And, you know, this technology, if you think about it, is not necessarily recreating who you are, but it is creating something that you're not. Okay? So I did not shut my eyes and pause for that time. I did not move my head to the side and wait to talk. It was part of this technology. Okay, so now going back to, are we living in a simulation? I've always said, how do you know if you haven't seen, used all 5 senses to verify that it is what it is when someone tells you about something? Okay. Most people, most of the time they'll look at a video, and say, hey, check this out, And so the video is what's giving the data to what you're talking about whatever it is, right? But the thing is it's only visual, and it's probably there's audio on there. But what senses are missing? You're missing the sensory, where you can touch. You're missing the taste. You're missing the smell. The only 2 sensory systems that you're using when you're looking at a video is your eyes and you're listening with your audio, your ears, okay? That's the only thing that makes that, and it's not a 3-dimensional video, it's a 2-dimensional video, to become in existence, okay? But it's still you to decide. It's not that someone else is deciding for you, saying, hey, this video right here that you're watching is real in fact. Because it has, a person in an avatar talking to you, with a language that you can hear, but is this in fact real? Is our reality real? How do we know? So, and this is my personal truth, it's like you would need to have a verification. And the thing is, you'd have to trust that verification. So if you go back into science, the slit theory, I didn't say I was going to talk science or anything today, but yeah, I guess I am. But if you go back to, not going to know the scientists behind it. I'm just going to say the process of it. So the slit theory was all about sending particles through 2 straight lines, and as the observer looked at it, the lines would line up on the other side, right? When the observer was not looking at the lines as the particles are going through the 2 slits, all the particles scattered all over the place. Okay, but when the observer observed, then they were back in the straight lines. So what is that telling us? Well, from my understanding, it's telling us that you need to observe it for it to actually be in existence, meaning that the atoms are all scattered out all over the place until you physically look at that object in motion. Then all the atoms jump into place where they need to be, so in that way it's filling that void or filling that spot of physical matter of what is supposed to be moving or supposed to be projecting back to you. That's how that whole theory of the slit theory works. Well, that whole theory has been projected into so many other instances, of reality. Okay. Now, not to go far down the rabbit hole, but I think everybody learns their own way of understanding, right? Now, of course, we have everything from going to school, to colleges, to universities, to lectures, to so much information is out there. The scariest thing is every day, over 1 billion videos hit the internet. So do you think you'll ever know a lot of it? Do you think you'll know a little bit of it? Do you think you'll just know what you need to know, right? So what I'm saying here and what I'm recording here and what you've been watching is an actual digital representation of myself talking to you in a digital world through an avatar using a VR headset with a microphone and toggles to move my hands. But it's the software that is allowing this technology to happen, right? So I went from hardware, software, and now the biggest thing is content. Like I said, every day 1 billion videos hit the internet. What blows my mind? Wait, hang on, let me do that again. It's blowing my mind right now. Not going to get into AI, but you can assume why you would need an AI to sift through all that information to get one answer. Let me see if I can. There we go. To get one answer, I got my finger to find that. Look, just folks. I'm just saying, just the technology to put your finger up in a digital world right now and go one. Here, let me pick my. Can't pick my nose. The thing's in the way. Anyways, but just getting back to so much information that is out there. Do you think we are living in a simulation? Do you think it's possible? I think anything's possible. Would you actually accept it? I mean, what if we are, okay, let's just say this. What if we are in a digital world? I gotta say this, the technology that has been designed up to that point of being in this digital world and not knowing, it's mind-blowing. The possibility that our consciousness right now, just think right now, just put yourself not as a digital avatar, not in a digital world, but just put yourself where you're at right now. And just think, maybe shut your eyes, let the blackness, the black void, be your new canvas. Is your mind powerful enough to actually paint on that blank black canvas in your mind? Are you creative enough to actually shut your eyes, and actually when you shut your eyes, you're opening your eyes up to a whole new universe? Are you able to do that? A lot of people can only do that maybe in their dream state, when they go to sleep, when they, that's the only time they get, that type of euphoria. But are you able to do it in real life, in real time? That's like an artist's mind. When they shut their eyes and they imagine, it's like they automatically go into another space or another realm or another dimension, and they're able to exist there. That, folks, I gotta say, is very powerful. Folks that know how to do that, like anytime, anywhere, it's like, and most people, these are probably like gurus, or these are like monks. These are people that know how to meditate and understand how to meditate and understand the five senses, understand, how to metaphysically travel between the physical world and the metaphysical world. And folks, for all we know, there's more than just the metaphysical worlds out there. We just haven't discovered it yet. Makes you wonder. the fact that I'm actually in a VR headset talking to, I'm actually, I can actually touch, I can shake my hand even. The fact that I'm able to kind of recreate some of my reality and project it into virtual reality, I think is very powerful. I mean, I think this is where the next level of our education will go. I think this is the next level of our, being a friendly human species will go even. I mean, imagine if, we look up and a big alien comes down, lands right here, and we're able to communicate with it. Okay? What if that is a scenario that would actually happen in real life? What if we're able to do that? But what if we didn't understand the language? And what if the aliens didn't understand, our the vibration of our voice going to them? Maybe they don't understand it. And then there won't be any communication between us. We won't be able to learn from each other, except for, small little increments of information that we would, probably send a gesture to each other and go, oh, I get it. Yeah. Or, we would start using sign language to try to communicate in a most simplistic way to that alien. Vice versa. They would probably do the same to us. I'm just saying, what if we were able to create scenarios and actually maybe take information that we have learned over time and said, well, how would we be able to speak to an alien if we were using a virtual reality simulation? What would we need to program in order to connect to them in their real dimension, right? Or in their physical dimension, or even their non-physical dimension? Because this is a non-physical dimension. I'm just going to tell you right now. Here, I'm touching this. I don't feel this right here. I can see my hand, touching this right here, but I don't feel it. Okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm not existing in this space. Okay. It just means that the other senses that are required, the other haptic senses that are required for me to actually feel like I'm totally in the space, I would have to be able to smell, I'd be able to have to taste, and I should be able to touch things inside the space here, not just see them and not just hear them, but I gotta do the other 5. Now the other part to that, like I said, is the 6, the sense, which is, I think, consciousness. I mean, it's why we're able to see this, why we're able to hear it, why we're able to touch it. And I believe our consciousness can actually be reinvented or repurposed. That's a better word. I think our consciousness can be repurposed to where at some point when I do come up to this right here, I will feel it. I will be able to feel like, oh wow, I can actually feel touching this guardrail going down, right? But even being in first person, people, I gotta say that, the experience that I'm having here is, I really feel like I'm, some things like, some things are moving that don't make sense in here. That's just because it's the graphics card trying to compute all that. But as I'm looking around in here, I literally feel like I'm actually here. Let's see if I can sit down right here. Okay, I just sat down. But yeah, I'm literally sitting in my office, but sitting in another place that someone else could be here with me, talking to me, but I'm just making this video showing you, that it is possible that we're living in a simulation. I still don't have enough. Let's see, how do I get up here? There we go. Okay, so I personally, I haven't seen enough evidence to make it seem like we're actually living in a simulation. Now, as far as the possibilities, I mean, the data is there, but what's not there is the observer. There hasn't been anybody to actually observe going from the real world into a digital space and seeing the connections, and then seeing how it could possibly, besides the theory itself, I mean, but again, you're using one tool, or you're using one testing system, which would be yourself, on an experiment that has been designed a certain way to perform a certain way. You know, it could have been that they just took us on the milk run on the slit theory. You know, that could just be like, oh, watch this. Here, let me push this button. I'll push that. That's going to happen over there. And then when you look at that, this is what you're going to see. It's like you've been taken on the milk run until you, the scientist yourself, has developed the tools. Okay, now I'm going to hurt a lot of feelings here. Okay, and I'm not even a scientist. I'm just using common sense of my own intuition to say this to you. Okay, and make this go viral. I don't care. Take this video and send it to every, super intelligent scientist out there. Okay, if you are the discoverer, if you are the one finding out this information, okay, and then you are the one creating your instrument to verify it, to show that it actually works, okay, and if you are creating the variables to how and what and why everything is happening, I call that going on the milk run. Until I actually design, from what you have told me, the information that you have shared with me, until I have done it myself. And this is another thing that I need to be. I need to be accredited. I have to have all this clout. I have to have all this, I've studied this. I know this. These other people have known me for this. They have to know who I am. My word is nothing in the real world because I have no credentials. But, I know you have to agree with me on this. If you are the one discovering it, if you're the one creating the measuring tools to verify, if you're the one that is creating the variables of how it has to work, then it is your creation. It is in your mind. It is your personal truth. Okay? Until another person comes on and says, hey, let me see what this avatar is talking about. Let me see, let me verify. Let me get some information. Let me take what they know and let's put to what I know and let's put it together and see if it comes up with the same results, right? And even though you do that and it's verified and you have people that have said you are correct in what you're saying, you can still be labeled as, oh, that's crazy, that's far-fetched, that's impossible, that's not right, that's not the truth, right? So folks, I really do appreciate your time and thank you for sharing it with me, because I hope you did get some value from this, and I hope that what this does, it just opens up your mind a little bit. Not that I'm saying anything I'm saying in here, please do not take my word for it. Go verify it yourself. Go do your own due diligence. But are we living in a simulation? There's data out there that has proven that it is true. I mean, let's see. Gotta give you some information. Okay. Here, I'm gonna give you some people to go research. So you know that I am verifying and researching, just not shooting out my butt on this, okay? Look up Donald Hoffman, and he is all about the fitness payoff And I'm not going to tell you what that's all about. That's a whole nother thing. I'll let you go research it and learn it on your own time. But Donald Hoffman, he's actually a cognitive scientist over at UCLA. He's written a couple books. They're very influential. At the same time, some people think he's crazy. But his whole concept is going from the biggest thing down to the smallest thing and knowing what that fitness payoff is. What is it actually, that little small qubit of data right before you go into the quantum world, what is that representing, and how do you know when you keep adding all the other data to it, or all the other particles and all the atoms and molecules and everything to make it, in our real 3D world that we live in. His whole thing is like, we still haven't cracked that code yet, knowing what color a red apple is going to be. Is it going to be green or is it going to be red? How do we know? Well, we should know down to the smallest particle. If we're smashing the atoms and getting the data, it should show, okay, well, this, because we went down to the smallest particle of this atom, we know it's going to be a red apple because of this, this, and that, right? That's his theory, which, I gotta say, there's nothing wrong with that theory. I actually think that's a good theory. It's like, if you have instruments that can go down to the smallest thing, down to where you're almost breaking open the quantum world to see, what's happening there, you should know how things are put together to the general relativity, down to Einstein's theories, okay? So let's just say Donald Hoffman and Einstein they don't connect. There is no space-time where Donald Hoffman's living, and Einstein's all about space-time and, matter and energy equals, all that stuff. Another person to research is James Campbell. He wrote a book, My Big Toe, basically my theory of everything, right? And he's saying that, and there's a little difference between Donald Hoffman and James Campbell. And what James is saying is, like, we live in a place where the data is only needed when we're looking for it, or when it's supposed to be there for us, right? Or else we would be melting our brains trying to compute everything. Like try to compute a glade of grass, how many molecules are in that stem of grass, and what is keeping it together, how is the vibrations of everything, all the data that makes up that strain of grass. Do we need to have all that in our minds and being processed when we look at a grade of grass? No. It's literally, it's that spooky theory at a distance. If you don't see it, is it actually there? It's interesting is I'm recording myself looking behind myself in this digital space, which I can see everything, but in the real world, technically if you can't see it, technically doesn't exist until the slit theory, right? Until you observe it, taste it, touch it, use all the 5 senses to verify that it's there. But James Campbell is saying that the data in our real world is only what we need to see, and meaning that from yourself being conscious to everything around you being conscious, that exchange of data between both of us, right? It's almost like it has to have a mutual understanding, and it has to be part of the system for it to work, right? Because you would just go crazy if everywhere you're looking it's just like all this information. You're like, I don't get that. It's like I could flip on all these different filters in here. I could give you my explanation of it, which probably would really help with what I'm saying. But imagine seeing everything here as a piece of information, right? Down to, let's say that the piece of information, you're able to visualize all the way down to like the atom of everything in here. How would that world look if you could see all that information at that point? just like how my avatar shuts its eyes out when it's not talking. It's like, okay, I'm resting, so I'll shut my eyes. But anyways, I just wanted to do this video today because one, we're building out the Aura metaverse, and two, this space right here, I said that we were going to use it for e-commerce. I think what I'm going to start off with is actually real businesses that have real things to offer, right? And then what I'll do is I'll make booths for everybody, and I'll put information up here where you can click on it. You can, if it's something that you want to buy, if you want to get more information on, if you want to talk to the owner, whatever it might be, right? I may create a space in here where, eventually what we can do is we'll do an expo, right? We'll bring people through so people can meet the people in the avatar, just like this. So yeah, so this is going to be cool. We just started this. I would say give me about a week or so. I'm going to be calling on people if they want to be involved on this. But I may kick this off to where we can get a bunch of people in here inside with their avatars, talking to each other, getting used to this technology. Okay, so but I just want to share this with you. But the Aura metaverse, this will be, I'm just going to say this right now, this will be basically a hub, right? So we'll have a bunch of worlds in here. We'll have a bunch of businesses, bunch of educators and stuff, and it will be an ongoing space that will be always running, right? So of course there's going to be some memberships we'll have to have in order to keep the lights on and stuff like that, but in general, the whole point of this is to allow me to be a guide for you, to help you get inside the space, to utilize the space in whatever you do, right? It could be pleasure, it could be business, it could be education, it could be whatever you want to use it for. But the main thing is to give it to where it's another communication device to connect with people all around the world. Okay, so that is the most important thing that we're focusing on here. I have the privilege of being a tour guide, being a world builder, even being a speaker up on a stage. I've never said that I've always been a speaker, but I think now with the knowledge that I have, I think I can speak on topics, create panels, and bring audiences in here to get, another, look at of how you can use this technology, right? How far do you think we're going to get where, it's literally going to look like us, talk like us? You're not going to be able to tell that it's even us. You'll just think it is you inside the space here. I don't think we need to go that far. I think this is as far. I think this right here is more than enough. It's definitely representing myself. Does it look exactly like me? No, I can tell you that. No, I don't look anything like this. I mean, but you could get used to me looking like this. I remember someone telling me, they said, man, I got so used to you being in the VR world. When I met you in real life, I was just like, you're a total stranger to me, right? So, folks, that's going to happen. You're going to have that where people are going to get so used to your avatar that that's the way they want to see you as, right? Nothing wrong with that. A lot of people say that they want to keep their identity. A lot of people want to create an identity. There's nothing wrong with that either. What if this is the way I want to present myself to people in a business room? My hair slicked back, wearing this, I don't know, this, actually I think this is from that movie, not The Matrix, but there's another movie out there, I forgot what it was called. It was with Christian Bale in it, when he was first starting out, but it was a futuristic movie where everything was done a certain way. You couldn't do anything differently, right? So it was the way a society was meant to be, and if you didn't conform to that society, you got basically kicked out of the society, right? I forgot what it was called. I think it was called like Skrillium or something. I forgot. Anyway, I apologize. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with this avatar looking like this. I'm okay with the way it looks. I'm trying to figure out why my underneath here these armpits stretch when I move, but that might be how the avatar or the clothing is on the avatar itself. So I gotta look at that. Maybe I gotta reposition the clothing on this avatar. But folks, I'm gonna keep it as this. Do you think we're living in a simulation? It can be yes or no. Definitely put your comments below. Give us your thoughts on it. And tell you what, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers, everybody. See if I can high five myself. High five. Okay. Bye, everybody.